Welcome back, Death Toll Racing, episode 2 of the 4x4 Chevy Cummins van. We got to shorten this frame. That's today's episode, so let's get to it. Today's episode is brought to you by me. We sponsored ourselves, I guess. We started a store, and we have some pretty cool merch. So support the channel and help us out by clicking on any of the links down below the video, or you can just go there directly, deathtollracing.store. Before we do our splicing, we need to make sure this thing is perfectly level on both sides, which means we're gonna have to put little masts up here so that we can make essentially 2 marks on this section of frame and 2 marks on the rear section of frame. That way we have all our marks to make sure it's straight this way. Now I am going to break a cardinal rule. We're going to actually splice it here. If you're mounting a frame like this under a pickup truck or something, a classic truck, you don't really want to touch anything behind the cab there. You want to leave that all factory because that's where it's meant to do a lot of its flexing. That's why there's rivets and stuff. So you don't want to do any splicing right there. You'll want to reserve your splicing there for underneath the cab, which most likely is going to be where you'd want to splice it anyway naturally, because this is probably the area that would be too long if you're putting this under a classic truck. Okay, so when you splice, normally you do a big giant diagonal. In our situation, we're going to go straight. Now there's a number of reasons why we can get away with that in this scenario where it wouldn't work in a normal pickup truck. And that is because this is going to be part of the unibody. I did decide, and I'm committing to making this permanent. So we're basically combining the unibody frame to this frame. So this frame will no longer be allowed to flex. And if it does flex, that means we got in a really bad accident and everything got twisted to crap. So anyway, it's not going to be allowed to flex, so we don't have to worry as much about doing a straight splice, especially in an area where you shouldn't be doing a splice anyway. But that's why we're going to be able to get away with it, so we are breaking the cardinal rule. So the first thing we need to do is strip everything off. Then we need to make a laser level line, make sure the thing is sitting level. Even under its own weight, these things can be twisted. So we need to make sure it's level on both sides. Once we confirm that, then we'll go ahead and make our marks, 4 on one side, 4 on the other side. Then we'll do our cross square marks on the top. So we need to make sure we have reference marks that are perfect diagonal, cross square. Then when we move the frames together, we make sure that they're still cross square. We make sure that it's still level. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is strip everything off that's going to be in our way or things that we just don't need in the build entirely. So we're just going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time and take all that off. And then we're going to level the frame out, which it takes a while. These things are just kind of all over the place, just the way they sit on the ground and the way the suspension is settled and everything else. So you see I have a jack there in the middle and I got a come along on either side. This is so I can kind of just cheat it. That's what's going to hold up the back side of the frame. And then when we separate the two halves, that'll hold the front engine side, and we'll do all our moving with the rear section because this is going to be a lot easier to move around. So I used to have to do this with string lines, and it's hard to get both sides flat with each other with a string line. So lasers are worth their weight in gold at this point. All right, guys, so what you just saw me do, I'm pulling a tape from the shock mounts. Now, are the shock mounts necessarily square? No, but I just did that in relation to these bolts that I put through these holes, and these are tight in the hole. And I made the marks and I just made them square, so it's not exactly centered in the hole. It's slightly forward on this side, and then it's centered on this side, or fairly centered, if you can even see that damn thing. But anyway, that'll get us close enough, and basically we're just going to match that once we take our 10 inches out, we're just going to make sure that those numbers are square again to our marks. If the frame's out of square, it's just going to be out of square again the same way. The longer you can do this, the better, because so if you have the front end out just a little bit, but your mark was bound down here, you wouldn't see that. So you could be quite a bit off on your front end. So the longer you can make your cross square, the more accurate you're going to be. So now for the length, we're just taking 10 inches out, and I'm going to use that front cross member as my reference point, since it seems to be parallel with the cross member behind it. So we'll just use those as our reference when we go to put it back together. So cutting it apart, fairly easy. I just used a plasma cutter, but a cutoff wheel would have been just fine. In fact, it probably would have made for even a cleaner and less cleanup to do with a grinder afterwards. All right, guys, well, that worked out pretty good. So that went together really good. The only problem was after disconnecting it, I had a little bit too much weight. The only issue I had is I had a little bit too much weight still hanging on the rear end when I disconnected it. So it didn't go together as easily as it could have, but it still didn't go together difficult. I just had to squeeze it a little bit with the clamps to make it kind of re-simulate it, and then kind of push down on the rear end a little bit to get the springs to compress again, because we had a little bit of weight still pushing on it in the middle. What I didn't like about it is all the shape changing happening in a short period, but it doesn't look bad. And once I cut this off, it'll look even better yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and MIG weld this thing together. So how we're going to do it is I'm going to weld it fully on the inside all the way around. And then we're going to back gouge it with a grinder. We're going to cut all the way through the frame into our weld, and then we'll fill up what we just cut away with weld again. Now, we don't want a big bead on the outside. On the inside, we can leave the big bead, which is going to be there naturally. And then on the outside, it's going to be relatively flat. And we're going to leave it flat because we're probably going to have to grind anything that's excessive over the frame off so that we can fish plate it later. The fish plate is actually going to be tied into the van body itself as well. So that's why we're not adding a fish plate at this time. So now I'm just going to cut off all the body mounts, and this legitimately took longer than doing the entire section of the frame. This takes a while, and it's a pain in the butt. They weld them in like a shoe. The reason they're so big, you'd think, why didn't they just put a big mount on there? It would have been just fine. Well, it creates a stiff area in the frame, so they just do a lot of thin stuff over a really big area in a shape that would not really limit the frame from flexing. Pickup trucks, man, frames are like water weenies in pickups, and you can see that anytime you're going four-wheeling or something like that, or even just watching a pickup truck hit potholes. You can see how flimsy the frames are, and they're meant to be that way. I mean, that's just how they're designed. So that's why welding on frames can be so tricky, is because you start putting a stiff area in a frame, and then all of a sudden you started an area where it's going to start cracking or splitting that frame, especially on these more modern frames where they're a lot thinner material, and they say they're, quote unquote tempered, or they're normalized by heating them up afterwards. So I saved that bumper installation jack that we made, that we installed the bumpers with on the 4x4 RV when we built it. I saved that, and it already has been beneficial. So that's pretty cool. So here's a fun trick. If you put a cut right through the middle of one of those rivets, they chisel off of there amazingly easy, and then you can knock them out. It's a little hard to chisel overhead, so I'm using an air hammer with a chisel bit on it for the bottom ones. But the same method applies, and then they just pop out of there. So now I need to remove those cross square bolts because they're in my way, but there we have that section removed. Now I removed that because the gas tank it's going to be in the way of the gas tank. I'm going to use the factory van tank. So we need to make a skid plate cross member underneath the gas tank that will replace the structure of that one. But if you noticed, we also eliminated our shock mount. So I'm going to have to come up with a shock mount as well. But I'm not going to make a shock mount until we get the fuel tank in there, because I need to make sure that we're clearing the fuel tank and we don't have of that in the way, which is very, very possible. So we may have to completely re-engineer the shocks on the rear of that thing just because of that issue. So I did potentially snowball that for later. Now I'm just cutting out this front frame section with the marks that we made in the end of episode 1. That's the shape that we transferred. That's only going to be applied to the inside. The outside is mostly being left long because that's going to actually go on the outside of the frame rail. So we only had to make that notch on the inside, and then the outside is just left as long as possible, and that'll give us as much area to weld on as possible. So now we need to cut this front end off, but I need to make sure the van is level first so we can just use the laser again and draw some nice straight lines on it. So I had to just utilize a little jack there because my lift, the lift, if you put something heavy on it, it'll be low on one side. You put something light on it, it's low on the other, and this is light, so it's going to be low on that side. So anyway, now I'm just going to use a cutoff wheel and just cut those off straight. This is identical to what we did on the RV project, so I'm just cutting it in the exact same spot because that all worked out really good on that one. Now I'm going to sweep it up, and we'll get this frame under there and see what other trimming we're going to have to do. All right, here's the first spot. This is over the front mounted shock on the passenger side, the one that we left. That was in the way. The rear frame can't go past this piece of sheet metal, but the frame is the exact right width, so we don't have to do any trimming on the rear of the frame at all.
the rear leaf spring mount, the one I didn't cut off, well, I need to cut those off. I was going to utilize those as a mud flap, but they're in our way, so we can't use those. And then we are hitting a little bit down here, so we left a lot, so we had a lot to weld to, but it's too much. It's now hitting over the shock there, so we're going to have to trim that off. Then we have another cross member, if I can get under here. This cross member here on the van, we need to trim half of it because the lower cross member on the frame hits it. So we need to trim some of that off so they'll slip past each other. So now I'm going to go ahead and get going on it, and then we'll dry fit this thing again and see if everything we did works out. Oh, and something I didn't point out is I am trimming the very top of the bracket that they used for their leaf springs off. And this is so it'll slip in between the two frame rails of the van, or the unibody rails of the van. So I cut those off, really careful not to cut it into the frame itself. So now I'm going to do clearance. I'm clearancing these a little bit conservative, and then once we get it down there, I'll make further adjustments to it. But I'm just going to get us started on the way down, and then we'll get it that rest of the way out. So it's kind of convenient that I'm removing these because, if you remember, I think I showed in episode 1, there's a little bit of rust in the floor pan right above those mounts where they sandwiched a bunch of sheet metal together. So now that they're gone, it's going to be a lot easier to replace that piece of sheet metal. And the frame and everything we're doing now isn't in the way of that, so it won't affect us. We can do that still later. You can see the rust there right now, the rusty spot. And down we go. There's a couple areas that I had to trim to get it to go down the rest of the way that just kind of flashed through there, but for the most part, it worked pretty good. I did have to trim around the rear, that shock mount. I had to make that quite a bit taller. I was way too conservative on that one, but otherwise it fits. I'll show you those at the end of the video, what they finally look like. So now I'm going to cut off the front end, so I'm just using our laser again, and this is the exact same I did on the RV, so that all worked out good, and it looked really cool on the RV. So I'm doing it again, and it's convenient because that area is all messed up on this van body, so now I get to cut it off and I don't have to deal with it anymore. But I think that thing turned out really cool looking. It looks amazing. I can't wait to get the proper tires and wheels on it, but it's looking really, really cool. So it's just kind of cool how some stuff works out. So the outside dimensions of the Ram frame is the same as the inside dimensions on the van's unibody frame. So when you slip them together, it's not quite a press fit, but they're pretty tight, and they fit in between each other just like that. So that was pretty cool. I'll show you all the clearances here at the end of the video. I took some nice pictures. Now I'm just taking all the steering stuff off. We have to completely rework the steering and the sway bar on the front of this. It's going to be identical to the 4x4 RV that we built. You can't see it, but I'm discovering something.
All right, guys. So what I was just scratching my head about is I was wondering why the axle was so far offset. So essentially all I did was take that sway bar and move it up top. See where the ear, so I have it centered on this frame right now. See where the ear lines up? That's why I was scratching my head. Now, naturally, right now, there's not as much weight on the front end. All the weight is down on the frame right now, but we moved the engine back. That took weight off. This cab and van body doesn't put nearly as much weight on the front end as the pickup cab and front end and stuff does. Plus, we are missing a bunch of parts. But pretty much anything you do to your truck, unless you lower it, is going to push the axle out. Because anytime you lift the front end on these trucks, because the panhard bar is going frame mounted on that side down to the axle on that side. So anytime that gets shorter, it's pulling the front end this way. So it'll always basically be sticking out this side. So if you lowered the vehicle and that made that thing perfectly straight, it'd probably be out that side. But I think they have these engineered with that thing perfectly flat, that it's centered at that point, instead of having it like, you know, swinging from offset that way to offset this way. I think they have it to where if it's all the way down, it's level, it's straight, and then anything up, it's out the other side. So here's a couple of pictures. This, just so you can see how much it's offset. I know I just have the sway bar sitting on the frame right now, but it's off 1.5 inches. I don't think that would mean it needs to move 3/4 of an inch, and I don't think that track bar has 3/4 of an inch in it. So we're going to get an adjustable one for that. Here's the cross member there where I trimmed it. I did that in the first shot just by eyeballing it, so I was pretty proud of that. It fit pretty good. The shock I did have to trim out a lot more than what I originally had it at. And look how
high up the frame actually sits in there. That's as low as we can go before the leaf spring will actually hit the frame, but that's pretty much where the factory van leaf spring would ride. It's just in farther on the van, so it's inset a little bit more than the factory van's leaf springs. But this thing is turning out so cool. We nailed the rear axle center line, and then the front axle looks good. It looks a little too far forward right now, but once we put the bigger wheels on, it starts to look right at that point. So anyway, I'm waiting on the steering box, and then we can get going on the front end and start making some tie-in plates so we can actually weld these things together. Hopefully we'll see you then on episode 3.